so people can watch us get set up.
Yep. And I'm just putting that YouTube link now on my Discord here. And then also going to tweet that out. Because I'm sure nobody else is talking about WWDC.
Right. Almost ready. Let's try this.
Huh. So someone sent me a note here. I'll have to look this feature up because this happens to me all the time. tvOS 17 lets you use your iPhone to find a lost Siri remote.
Interesting.
I wonder how that works. Yeah, that is interesting. I'm losing that thing all the time, so that actually is a big feature for me.
I fixed that problem.
Yeah.
You want to know what I do?
Yeah, do it.
I use my iPhone. I bought an Apple TV with.
Oh, okay.
So that makes it a lot easier for me.
Hey, actually, that's a good idea. Using an old, if you've got an old, whatever SE or something like.
No, I mean I just carry my phone everywhere and then just use it. So.
Oh yeah. I need to what do I do with my old phone? That would also be a good use.
Besides using it as a camera, so. Going back to what we said earlier.
Yeah, right. And I pulled out my iPod Classic to put it in my car because my car doesn't have AirPlay, and I was like, wait, mess with this Bluetooth all the time. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna try something real quick, and then we'll get started. Okay.
Sure. No problem.
Let's see if this works. I'm waiting on something.
All right. I feel you're building the tension.
I am building the tension. Oh, I'm going to share this too. Where's the little share thing? Nope. Oh, share. Share this on Twitter. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're good.
If you mind taking a minute
Mm-hmm.
and resharing on, yeah, Twitter and.
Oh, all right. I saw something come up on Ivory. Let's boost that one. And jump over there. And read. There we go.
Cool. Goes there. Notes are here. Bye bye, LinkedIn. We knew you so well.
Yeah.
Close these tabs. Keep the stream health up. Here, let's put that in a. How do I pop out? Perfect. In case people ask questions. And close that. And oh yeah, maybe I should do this. That. That. Close that. Cool. All right. Okay, I'm gonna try it. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We're gonna start. Is it doing it? It's not doing it. Come on. What's it doing? What's it doing right now?
Yeah, I was gonna say the mystery is like, I see him pulling faces. It must be doing something.
It's not doing it. It does it in preview. I'm trying
Oh,
to play the theme song. Piece of crap. It's totally embarrassing. Do you see all that? I build all that up.
I know. Technology. Why do we do it?
Yeah, this like doesn't even play. What a tragedy. It's gonna play like in the middle of our recording.
Oh yeah,
Oh
you'll be
well.
like, where's that coming from?
Welcome to a very special live episode of Empower Apps with all the technical difficulties you can imagine. This is not as professionally. This is why Apple doesn't do live events anymore. Just in case you were wondering, it wasn't a pandemic; it was because of this. I'm your host Leo Dion. Once again, episode 151, joined by our annual and sometimes semi-annual guest Peter Witham to talk about today's events. Mostly platform State of the Union, but also a little bit of keynote thrown in because there was a lot of stuff today. Peter, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure, and it's nice that we got this marked in our calendar, right? It's agreement that we have with Apple every year. They'll do their thing, then they'll let us do our thing. So thank you for having me back on.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll have a link to the recording we just did on Compile Swift on the keynote, mostly complaining about why the Mac Pro is a thing.
Yeah.
And now we'll talk about platform State of the Union. So what did you think of the platform State of the Union, Peter?
I liked it. There that we'll go through here that caught my attention. I think, we get a lot of gifts every year as developers, but I feel like this year we were given a whole extra gifts to work through, some of which I'm sure we will cover in this episode. But away from the State of the Union this year, feeling pretty darned excited to play. Some of the topics we'll talk about here, embracing lots of new things. What did you think?
I think there's a lot. I think we've seen kind of the fruition of years of work. And I think for us, it was I think you're going to see this in the news stories tomorrow about the big thing Apple revealed this year. And of course, I'm talking about Swift macros. Um, just amazing. Swift macros are
Oh yeah,
amazing. They're
yeah,
going to change technology forever. Um, but in all seriousness, let's jump into it. So, I want to talk about Swift macros actually because I've been
yeah.
hearing about this for like a year, and I'm like, what the heck is the point in Swift macros?
Hmm.
And like, it was like Holly talked about Swift macros and kind of explained it, and it's like we're doing Swift macros for SwiftUI. We're doing Swift macros for the new core data. We're doing Swift macros for this. It's like when we heard about Swift DSL and we're like, what the heck's the point in Swift DSL? Like, and then Swift UI came out. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's like the same thing all over again. It's like they like we really like this language feature. It's really
yeah,
nice. We're gonna add Swift macros, and then it's like, okay, whatever, Apple, that's what you want to do. It's funny too with like the fact that like Swift language is open source and on a totally different lane, and like Apple
hmm,
stuff is like secretive and not anything you know about, and then you like come to dub dub and it's like, oh, this is why Swift macros is such a big deal to people,
yeah,
especially at
yeah.
Apple, which is fine.
Hmm.
I see it. I see a lot of it. I think it's gonna make a lot of the Swift gen and like the whole Swift code generation stuff um in a good way, kind of Sherlocked.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
yeah, what do you think?
Fascinated by this because I had actually, so I'd read about this before, and then got busy, and sort of pretty much forgot. And then I rushed to the State of the Union today, and I joined it as they were talking about Swift macros. And I'm like, wait, this sounds familiar, and I'm trying to rack my brain, and I'm this, and they're like, well, you just put this macro at the beginning, and I'm like, okay. And the point is, and then they're like, well, these rappers and things, and I'm like, okay. And the point is, and then I was like, watch this again, and then after sort of the second time rounds, are like, oh, okay.
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah, because like, did you just want to put an at symbol in front of something? I mean, what's that about?
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be super useful. I haven't had the chance to wrap my head around it, but like I'm really excited to try it out and see how it like just how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And how those pieces fit.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got attributes, and then you have like freestanding, like pound based, hash based macros. They did a great example with URL, which is a classic example of just compile. Now we have compile. We can do compile time URLs, which is awesome. And I think it just brings a lot of that strong type safety that we've taken for granted with Swift and moved over. I think, we'll get into SwiftUI. Was there anything else about macros you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, no, I think it feels like one of those things where I think the more I use it, the more I'm going to be, oh, this is filling the gaps, right? Those, like you say, those little awkward spots with for a few years and with workarounds and things like that. And it feels like now there's sort of Apple's come back and said, okay, we accept pain. We think this is going to do it for you. Take it and see. So I'm going to be playing around with it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There was something else I was going to say about macros. Oh, like I think there's going to be a lot of use cases of macros being useful in the sense of Swift package plugins. Like I think now they're going to be a little bit more useful. I could see that, especially with code generation. So yeah, that's
a good point.
The other thing we're finally getting that I forgot about because I haven't done anything with it in a long time, but C++ on interoperability is a big deal. I don't think people can understand how big of a deal it is. There's a ton of libraries out there that are C++ based that we've had to bridge over using C. I did a tutorial on it years ago when I dabbled into it, and luckily now that's no longer useful. We can actually directly work with C++, and I'm really curious about that. I'm looking forward to some of those talks because there's just a ton. There's like a ton of C++ libraries out there that that now we can take advantage of and use. And you could have C++ code along with your Swift, I think, in a package or app. So I think it's going to be useful.
A lot of those discussions you have. I need this thing. Oh, I don't want to have to rewrite it though, or I don't have the time. Well, guess what? Now you don't have to, hopefully. So like you say, it's like great. You have bank of useful code and just use it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk about the SwiftUI stuff? There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot, but I don't feel. Well, there's one big gap that I think it filled this year. But there's a lot of small stuff too. You want to cover the small stuff?
I think we needed, this was one of the things I was hoping it was, okay, I think you and I had even spoken about it just in conversations about, hey, Apple, if you really want people to use SwiftUI, rather than just forcing it on them, make it something use and want to use. And I feel that's kind of what we got this year, right? Things like, there's the incremental. I think a big one, funny enough, I know that kind of sounds a bit funny and a bit weird, but if you stop and you think about the amount of apps you use and things like that, I'm betting that as a users, well, you can when you think you do, and so make life easier there with this, and a nice addition to the Swift charting, it's like keep growing that package, right?
I totally like. I didn't touch Swift UI charts last year. I just never had the time, so like I wasn't
Sure.
aware that that was even missing. But I'm not surprised, so I'm happy to see that.
See, that's the funny part, right? That's what I was saying about, one of those filling the gaps where it's like, it seems logical that you're looking and go, well, that must have been there since day one, right? And then you're
Right?
like, you discover,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So plugging a lot of those gaps is good. That
Yeah.
that makes it feel more mature, right? And more like you want to use it because you're not going to get that
You can
nasty
use it out of
surprise
the
of,
box.
you know,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like the new inspector view that I'm really curious about using on macOS. MapKit
Yeah.
looks like they really moved that over to SwiftUI with like
Mm-hmm.
custom overlays. But it seems like the big thing this year that they're trying to cover, and I'm really I attended a talk with Adam Bell at Swift Heroes on he mostly dabbled in core foundation stuff there, CF and all that, or core animation, I should say, being that they really dumped into animations this year on Swift UI.
Yeah.
We got the Spring default, we got animated SF symbols, which is awesome.
Oh,
This new
yes. Yep.
phase animator. I mean, there's a lot here.
Yeah. Yeah. Me, the big one, I use a lot of, I'm sure everybody does, but I use a lot of SF symbols. So having animate, yeah, please,
Yeah,
I think that it's like, great. I now don't have to make my own third party version or do, scripting or something like that. It's like, if you can just give me trust that it's optimized and just go with it. That's what I would prefer to do and spend my time working on the, kind of that thing that Apple says, right? Focus on the parts of the app,
right,
your app, right? And I feel like
right.
that's what we got a lot of that with the animation stuff.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of good stuff there. Was there
Oh
anything
yeah,
else on animation you want to
yeah.
cover?
No, I think that covers it. Funny. Over the years, people have grown to appreciate it more, but I think it's also clear, like this year, with Apple putting this in, the subtle things, to quote your apps, that extra bit of delight doesn't seem like much on the surface, but when you're using an app and it does something in a with a simple animation, it makes you stop and go, oh, that's cute, that's cool. And so these things are super important, and they make it stand out from just kind of feeling like every other app that you see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely, completely. So we got some interesting behind the scene changes in Swift UI. Speaking of Swift macros, with this new observable macro,
Mm,
um, there Donnie had a really good post saying, "Is this like the beginning of the end of Combine?" They've kind of
yeah,
like really simplified, like, is it state object, state this, da, 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 da,
yeah,
da, published, da, da, da. Like all that stuff. They really, really simplified it a lot, and
yeah,
I'm really curious going this route in the future with SwiftUI because I do think
yeah,
ones that are just like SwiftUI propertywrappers.com that like lists out all the different property and how to use it. And I
hmm
think this is going to simplify that a lot. Seriously, I think, gosh, I wish I remembered who was the presenter on that one, but he said like we've made it simpler to use SwiftUI, but I don't remember the exact quote. But now we're doing it like the simple way is the right way to do it,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
kind of encourages better behavior in that case.
Oh, absolutely. And it's I'm glad that we got this because I had never really fully appreciated this problem until I think this year, where I found a lot of people when I'm doing my live stream coding and things like that, the top of state by environment objects, observables, all these things would come up over and over and over again. And that's when I started to realize, yeah, you know what? If you don't keep up using these all the time, or if you're new to it, yeah, there's a lot of them. They can get confusing real fast as to which one you should, it's like, it's like which tie goes with these socks, right? That kind of problem. So
that's exactly it.
Yeah, so by having this,
O'Reilly should come out with a book, or Codeco with a book. What's the right tie with the right socks? Peter Witham's Guide to SwiftUI Property Wrappers. I like it.
Fill it with meta, right? Your data is the sock. Yeah, and your view is the waistcoat, right? And the socks on. I think there's probably is a whole book right there I could do. Yeah, or just like so you never thought were fashionable, but they are. Yeah, this actually is very confusing for people. It's going to be interesting now, though, because now, for those of you that have been using these for a while, we're going to have to switch our brains around to not doing it the way we've got used to doing it, right? And so rewriting some of our own
the
code.
Classic problem of real-world people who are still have to support iOS 15. I don't know. Okay, I'm overthinking this, but sorry. If it's a macro, it's built by Xcode. It's not really a thing. I don't know.
See, that's the thing, right?
If it's compiler side, I don't think I don't think that should be a problem. We were recording this 1 hour after I downloaded Xcode 15, so I apologize for my audience not knowing this, but so that's gonna be one of those tune in tomorrow and Leo's gonna explain it, Yeah, right. So anyway, I don't know, but I have a feeling it's gonna be there's definitely some stuff here that's gonna take a while to be adopted. So yep.
But this was I think this one is a necessary. So I'm glad that they've done it now. I'll put this out there for everybody now. Don't freak out. It's not like going from Swift or something like that bad, right? This is just this is going to take less code.
Spoiler alert: going to Swift 6 is going to be like going to Swift 4. Yeah. Trust me, I looked at that. I've been looking at Swift 6 and I've been testing my apps for Swift 6, and there's
not good.
There's a lot there. I mean, good in the long term, but that short bump of having to do type thread safety and dealing with existential types, there's going to be some pain there. So I'm glad they delayed that for next year, hopefully. So for next year.
Yeah, right. So that's
true.
Apple for thinking about us, and saying, well, look, if we keep changing everything, it keeps everybody employed, rewriting their same code over and over again. So thanks, Apple.
Thank you, Apple.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to cover the easy iOS stuff. We already talked about game development and game porting in the previous, in your Compile Swift episode. In the keynote, we talked about gaming and all that, so please check that out. I'm not going to talk about it here. AirDrop, we hinted at that, but there's an AirDrop API now we can do with I think using touching your phone. TipKit is really cool. I'm going to try that out, where you can post tips. And it uses a native UI. Siri, more stuff with app intents. They've been talking about app intents for years, kind of heavily hinting that we should all be using app intents. I think, like ARKit and hundreds of other APIs that they've kept telling us we should be using. I think Siri and app intents are another thing there, and SharePlay and things like that. So, okay, have you done anything with widgets?
I haven't, but because now having seen, based on what we've seen so far, they feel useful, and not to say that they weren't useful before, but on any of the platforms was always kind of like a read-only information kind of event. I'm going to look, see it, forget it.
And it was a black box as far as how it gets updated.
Yeah. So for now that they're doing, in particular the desktop on the Mac, but across all the platforms, I think they may finally feel useful enough that I should give it some time. And, you know, there's off the top of my head one app that I support that has a widget in it, and even there the widget is just to get you over into the app. But now I can do something with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like we talked about in your episode, there's a lot to iOS, a lot of just like you said, quality of life improvements with messages and iPhone and FaceTime.
Yeah.
I think people are going to see. So that's awesome. I'm sure we could tap into that. All right, last and not least, when it comes to Swift, is this year that they migrate core data over? Peter, what's the answer to that?
Oh, Swift data. I don't know you yet, but you're my new best friend. Yeah.
you're the honey. We're still in the honeymoon period.
Yes,
we're still in the
but let's just stay there
until you open up Xcode and you find the 5 things.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh wait, you can't do that. What? Oh,
if I don't use it, you know, it's my best thing ever.
I wonder how it works underneath. Is it just a SQLite database? Can I just hack it to do what I want it to do and post a new library on GitHub?
Yeah,
that's what you're going to end up doing.
That's what it is. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna be optimistic and say, if it can do 50% of the things that I feel like it should, or I want it to, then it's a win. Year one of Swift Data v10, right? I mean, I guess it's a case of, okay, at least we've got it, right? We ripped off the Band-Aid. It might bleed a little bit, but at least we're on the path. But I think it's exciting. I think that finally having something that doesn't feel it was just sort of, well, let's push it under the carpet of SwiftUI and hope for the best, you know, and call it core data. I it's going to be interesting. I will certainly, as someone who just released an app with core data cloud kit and was surprised how easy it was with SwiftUI, I want to see how much easier it is with Swift Data.
Core data is, well, I mean, okay, so we'll have an episode about Toist. I'm going to have Pedro on from Toist.
Oh, great.
I've used Xcode Gen. So like so you've got storyboards are dead, right? So that's one big git merge nightmare you don't have to deal with. If you migrate over to Xcode Gen or Toist, that removes another merge problem. And I don't know a lot about these model files in core data, but they always seem like a black box to me. They're probably some XML stuff that scares me. And now that's gone, right? Because you could do the whole schema, I would assume, in Swift, which I think is fantastic. So I'm trying to look up. There's a library I used. I'm gonna look for it. Maybe you gotta here. Delay me. Talk about something else with Swift data while I look that up.
All right, no, that's cool. No, because this is the thing, right? Swift data. Again, this is a topic that comes up a lot that people ask me about. You know, where's my data in my Swift app, and how do I get it? How do I make it available to different scenes? You know, different, or you know what? Why doesn't it exist in this? What is context? That's another one, right? With core data. And so if it can deal with even a fraction of that with the Swift data and simplify, almost kind of one of those, can you simplify the sales pitch to make it understandable and meaningful for folks so that they don't within 5 minutes say, you know what, screw this, I'm going to go back to my SQLite or my Realm or, you know, whatever it may be.
Right.
You know, 5. You gotta give us the sales pitch, Apple, that makes this because it doesn't sound as scary as core data. And from at least just the preliminary that they tried to sell me on in the State of the Union, I mean, I'm willing to buy into it if it is that simple. And I don't find that it isn't just a couple of lines and I've got to write all this. But the idea of building my models right there in Swift appeals to me, right? It's like, great, in the language I know, you know, as opposed to going over to anyone who's ever gone to core data and it's like, right, we're going to edit the files now. And, you know, you open up that view and it's like, what's this? How does this work? You know? So being able to define it, I think, will help.
I found the Swift package
got
I
it?
was going to mention. Let me I'll post it in chat too. Is that your plane? Are you flying right now?
Yeah, I'm flying. That's my Apple plane. Shh, I'm beta testing it. Yeah.
So there is a really good Swift package
Let's have a
called
look at
Core
this.
Store by John Estropia that I've used before as a way not to do model files and essentially could do the whole
Oh,
schema
okay.
in Swift. This is as close to the ideal of what I was looking for. So, uh,
Ah, all
if
right.
you're still supporting an older OS, this is available to you.
This is a
But
yeah.
thankfully, and no disservice to John, but I'm glad this is Sherlocked now because this is something that's been a long time coming that we've needed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, I
yeah,
have to
yeah,
look
yeah,
at that one. Yeah.
yeah, because now we have. So the question I posted on Twitter actually was like, what if I wanted my model in core data and I wanted to use it in Vapor? Like, how would I be able? Is
Mm.
there a way I can like take that model, even though it's a model in using Swift macro, and then extend it so it's codable, and then also it's content, which is the protocol that Vapor requires for content delivery. So I'm like curious if we could still go with that route with core data
Oh,
now, or
yeah.
Swift data. Excuse me. I'm assuming it should be a issue, but I mean that would be
Yeah.
awesome. Just be able to have your data. The way I do it, you have your data in one spot. You say that data is able to be used in Swift data. It's codable. It's also content in Vapor, and now like you have the same model shared in a full stack application, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
as
So
we both know, the creators of Vapor are fantastic and very responsive. I If they don't do it, someone in the community is going to figure out some translation
someone at
mechanism.
Apple will do it for
That
Vapor because
Yeah,
I
that
mean
would be great.
Apple's been fully supportive of Vapor, and so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
Wonder wonder
someone.
if there's any. Yeah, just I'm gonna check. Is there
If
any
there's a talk on it,
server?
maybe.
Yeah, I'm looking if there's any server stuff. There's some stuff about App Store server, like checking receipts and stuff, but I don't see anything
Ah.
on. Uh, and no, nothing this year on server side, which is fine. I
Hmm.
mean, they've done Lambda talks and they've done Vapor talks, so I'm totally okay with that. But yeah, anything else on Swift data?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we've got a. This is going to be one of those 1.0 years for it, right? And at first, I kind of get that feeling it's going to be one of those that Apple's going to want you to embrace, right? So
Mm-hmm.
might as well start practicing it now. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to say there was one talk this week called Meet Swift Open API Generator? I've been working on something like this,
Oh,
so
you
Apple
have?
sure locked me on
Yeah.
that. So I'm really happy about that.
See,
So
that's what
I mean, obviously,
good thing, right? That's when you
right,
know you
right,
got it right.
right. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna be interesting. I'm excited about that talk. Okay, cool. That's Swift. I think we covered all the
Yeah.
Swift stuff. Hardware. Camera. There was some camera stuff. I don't have a lot to say about the camera stuff. Just
No.
enhancements. They have a standard now for HDR photos,
Yeah, that's
video
good.
effects, API you
Yeah.
can tap, screen capture kit, Apple TV stuff. Do you want to talk about any of that?
I
Any
think
of that
that,
stuff?
any of those is good, right? Because there's a million camera apps, but every so often a gem of an app comes along. So the more
Yeah.
of that stuff they expose, nothing. I mean, the built-in camera app and everything is fine. If you look at like the Halide app or and things like that, there are folks that take it to the next level. So I'm always glad to see that they get access to these APIs.
Um, I'm gonna skip to values. So
Okay.
a lot of stuff about accessibility, about a certain piece of
Yeah.
hardware. They're doing a lot of stuff there for accessibility, which is nice to see. I didn't know pause animated
Welcome.
images. I didn't know that was a thing that people
Yeah, I
needed.
didn't.
It makes totally sense because I'm super ignorant of that stuff. I'm curious about the privacy manifest,
Yeah, that caught my
and
eye. Yeah.
I'm really happy to see that. I hope people actually
Hmm.
use it. I hope App Store approval actually enforces it
That's what I
for
was going to say. I
larger
hope that actually
companies.
Apple forces you to. So,
Sensitive content analysis, that is a whole can of worms. As a parent, I
oh,
am
yep.
interested in highly, and I
Uh huh.
trust Apple with privacy. So that's good to see. What I may not trust is machine learning because it can be
Yep.
weird at times. I know there's
Uh,
YouTubers who've had weird issues of what's been marked as inappropriate when it isn't inappropriate, or if it's inappropriate but it's not
yeah.
like, it's a piece of art, like a statue of David or
Exactly.
something,
Yeah.
and
And
it's
you know,
like, yeah. Anyways,
go,
so that's like, I'm curious about it. Also, I'm curious if this has anything to do with, gosh, what was that thing? Remember that they were gonna put it in one of the point three releases? Was the
oh,
whole like,
the one that they decided, well, we're keen on this. It was going to scan all your photo library or something like that, and
that thing? Yes, and I don't
and
know the name.
if they deemed
Like
it
like
inappropriate, yeah,
right. Yeah, like
yeah,
Google already does it, and I think a few other companies already do it with your stuff. And Apple was gonna do it, and then they pulled the plug
yeah.
on that. At least as far as we know.
And
So
I will
yeah,
say it's going to be interesting to see how this works out for Apple because, without going into any details, day job, we have to scan media ex- exactly as being described here and as we just discussed. And it's actually an incredibly difficult problem because
yes,
more often than it's not getting the, catching the is not easy, but relatively straightforward. The problem is, like you said, catching a lot of the wrong things is actually very
yeah.
hard to train this software for this.
And I
So
don't.
it'd be interesting.
So I don't know if you've read any stories about the stuff at Facebook, but when people talk about jobs that we want to automate and people don't want to have to do, I feel like this is probably at the top of that list.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if you followed any of the horror stories about Facebook in Africa.
Oh,
Um,
I haven't seen specific stories, but I work with
but they
folks
basically
who
farm out. They farm out people who have to go through this stuff and find garbage.
yeah.
And there's some pretty awful things out there. And
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that's a
Yeah.
great candidate for AI. If we can outsource it to a to a
Yeah.
non-feeling, non-conscious person, non-person
Right.
that just can identify it, I think that would make a lot
Yeah.
of people mental health better and a lot
Mm-hmm.
easier. And so hopefully, this is a move in that direction. We'll see. Um,
This is I mean, it is a very real, serious problem because,
yeah,
yeah, some of the stuff, again, the day job, has to be reviewed by human beings,
yeah,
and like anything, yeah, I mean, some of these things, who in their right mind would want to be exposed to this? Who would want that?
right,
I'm
right.
glad someone
There's no
does it,
amount of
but
money,
yeah, yeah, but this is
right?
that a machine, like you say, won't burn out from doing. Yeah.
That would be a good job for to have a severance surgical procedure done on you, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you've watched that show,
No, right.
yeah. So there's some stuff about ad network. I don't understand that stuff, so I'm not gonna even jump into it.
Yeah, yeah. It
Short
left.
stories
Yeah.
sounds interesting. I'm really curious about that, and I'm sure there's gonna be some good stuff out from Revenue Cat to talk about that.
Oh, good point. Yep.
But yeah, so there's that. And then Xcode. I want to cover Xcode before I jump to one of the OSs.
Okay.
Xcode SwiftUI previews has a macros now, which is funny. This weekend I was working on like SwiftUI previews, and like I wanted to see my preview in like 2 or 3 different iPhone models, and it was like I
Oh,
have to code this boilerplate code to do it, and then I like refactor it into a function and blah blah blah. And I'm curious to see if this makes it a lot easier because like SwiftUI previews, I get what it is, and it makes sense, but at the same time, I could see how it would be a lot easier with a macro. Also, if you look at the talk on developer tools, you'll see that they also mention UIKit and AppKit. So I think previews is going to be a thing for UIKit and AppKit too.
That would be nice.
Pretty interesting. Yeah.
Despite all the rumors, those things. Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
What else did you see with Xcode?
Yeah, so they gave some interesting, examples with the test reports with, the full videos. So you can literally replay the along with awesome. the data in there. Yeah, that, QA folks should be loving that, right? One less, a third. All your reports are right in there with your repo code and everything else. So that's interesting. Mm-hmm. And of course, they touch Cloud, which I still have not used yet. Remember it. And I still have. I was going to ask you, how's that going for you?
I like using GitHub and GitLab CI and GitHub
Me too.
Actions.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to use another system. I use Fastlane. And so far, as long as
Fastlane solves every problem,
God willing, I'm gonna be sticking with Fastlane. Like, there's just so much I can do, and it's pluggable anywhere. If I go to Xcode Cloud, I'm stuck with Xcode Cloud. So
yeah, and that's kind of things too. Is it's not that I have an issue with Xcode Cloud. It's just thing that's going to lock me in, not because I'm saying it's going to do bad things or anything like that, but anytime you're locked into something, one or two outcomes: you're going to be good for a really long time, and then it's going to bust. Yeah. You're going to be good for a short term, and then it's going to. So keeping like something like Fastlane, I mean, it really is. Fastlane solved the problem. Why is everybody else still trying?
Right.
But that said, I still think plays into the bigger picture of not Xcode on an iPad, but offloading of the heavy duty so that some other,
you just buy another Mac Mini. That's what I did.
Yeah. We were just talking about that, right? Get Mac Studio, you got all the power you ever needed. Yeah. So, link speed and mergeable. I don't know what mergeable libraries is. No, I don't. Yeah.
But I'm really curious what what's the selling point? Yeah. And then link speed is 5 times faster. So, I just want like, what's it called? Autocomplete. I just want that fixed.
Oh, IntelliSense.
I don't want any more Swift. Yeah. I don't want any more of these weird Swift errors that don't make any sense. I don't want Swift errors that are there, and then when I click on it, it goes away. Like, just fix that Xcode. So we'll see. I just downloaded the beta. We'll see if that's going to happen.
What? I have a funny example of that. It happened to me I was doing a live stream recently, and it was with the SpriteKit app, and just out of the blue, suddenly Xcode decided, I'm going to give you an error that I can't load the underlying SpriteKit module. So, did the usual thing, closed Xcode, open. Nope, still there. And then someone in the stream said, hey, change the order of your imports. So I did. As soon as it was the first import, like I think it was game, it complained about it. And now SpriteKit. And then we put Foundation in, but Foundation was okay. So yes, thank you, Xcode. Weird errors that don't really exist. Yeah. I know it drives you crazy. I'm like, what did I do?
SpriteKit. You said SpriteKit, and I'm just like, oh no. Like now you're really okay. I'm gonna start crossing off stuff on our notes just because I don't want to make sure that we did cover the non-important, and the important non-important stuff before we get into my favorite OS, and then we'll get into your favorite OS. Ha ha ha.
All right.
Okay. That's... Oh, one thing I do want to note is I noticed that, well, I think I did mention this in the previous recording, but Xcode 15 you download only Xcode 15, I think, and then you have to download the separate
Yeah,
SDKs.
that's interesting.
Not only for Watch and TV, but now iOS is a separate install too, which of course 99% of people who use Xcode are doing iOS. But
Yeah.
in any case, that's the way they make Xcode smaller. So good for them.
I mean, I totally get why you make watchOS, tvOS separate. I'm glad you did that, Apple. Thank
Yeah.
Why make, iOS separate? I mean, like you said, it's easily got to be the most used. So why would you leave it in there?
Maybe it's because the other OS wasn't listed, and I'm wondering if Mac OS covers the new OS. And so they figure,
okay.
oh, well, if you're going to do, we want you to do the new OS, and then if you do the new OS, I don't,
Thinking
something that.
like those ones are like the core, right? We want,
Right.
and then maybe you're an iOS developer, or maybe
Yeah,
you're
right.
Yeah, okay, that does make sense. Yeah.
That's what it is. Anyway, okay. My favorite OS finally is updated after years and years of neglect. watchOS is here. watchOS 10. There's a new way of doing watch faces. Like the Siri face is now like preeminent, and like the way they're doing like widgets and smart stacks and stuff and changing the way. So watchOS 0, whatever, watchOS 1.
Yeah.
It was all about glanceable this, glanceable that. And so their idea is like, okay, glanceable, you just can't get everything on there. And I don't know why they're this way, but they're not comfortable with creating watch faces that have a lot of data. There's like a limit to the amount of data that they're willing to put, which I feel like it's not necessarily the case. So they say, okay, there could be a little bit of interactivity. So basically, you go to the Siri face and then you flip using the crown to see what the widget smart stack decides is important. And then that's why you can see your calendar, your weather, whatever other widgets you want to show. Stop that. It was just about to do Siri. So I think that's interesting. Like, I'm not sure. I'm definitely going to be installing the beta at some point on my watch or watches. But that was really interesting. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I thought this was interesting too. You'd be forgiven, pardon the phrase, an average user, thinking like, oh, okay, they gave me some new watch faces and that's not the case at all. Yes, you got some new watch faces. I mean, that's a given. That's like every year knowing that they're going to improve the camera in the iPhone. It's a given.
Right,
You're going to get watch.
Right.
But
you're gonna get Snoopy is not a shock, right? It's all always is a Snoopy watch face.
Yeah, and I think I might use. Yeah, but because they targeted me. They're like, oh, this is for the old people. I was like, oh wait, you're talking to me now? Yeah, right. But the widget part of it, I think, is a bigger deal than perhaps a lot of people are thinking it is on the surface, because really on the watch, at least the way I use it, the widgets is a massive part of my day, right?
Yeah.
I don't use, sort of quote apps a lot in so much as it's an information screen. And so therefore widgets and being able to interact quickly with those widgets, for me, just made my watch a lot more useful. We
didn't talk about this. Total tangent, but the standby mode on the iPhone is kind of that. It's like big widget on the screen that just shows like whatever you like, information dump, like you said. So.
Yeah, I'm real happy about that. That actually for me was one of the big sort of silent features, because I with my watch all the time at night, right? If I'm not wearing it, I take it off, put it on its side. Fantastic. There it is. It's my alarm. It's got the plus the always on screen. So, with the phone, why not make my phone a mini dashboard on my desktop or my bedside cabinet? Perfect use case, But yeah, no, on the watch, the interactive widgets to me is like great. I think I just found the new justification for keeping this thing on my wrist.
Yeah. Big enhancements to cycling. There's a whole custom workout API. I don't know what that means, but I'm curious. You've used Health Kit for workouts. What is Workout Kit? I don't know. I'm really curious about that.
Yeah.
Hiking. There are some features that I don't know if they're like, I don't even know if some of this stuff is exclusive to the Ultra, but there was some stuff with like tracking cell reception. And like if you so I have one watch that has LTE but doesn't have a cell phone plan on it, and technically on that I could just do an SOS call on any cell network, right? Like FYI, if you have an iPhone, it's your legal, like I think it's the legal obligation that like you can at least call 911 on it, even if you don't have a cell phone plan and you don't have a SIM card or eSIM card in it. So like that would be the same idea with this, is like it'll tell you if you have cell reception, period. Even if you don't have a SIM attached to it, and then that way you'll know, like, if you can call 911 essentially here in the US or whatever your emergency number is.
It also, I think it will be useful for these folks. Pseudo 3D view, where not only am I direction, I'm getting a sort of height estimate relative to where I am. Yeah. I actually think that that is going to be very useful.
Yeah.
You touch on an interesting thing there, though. As far as I recall, not once did they say, this is the which version of the watch this is for. I wonder if it's like, okay, take them at their word. Does that mean I get this on all of the watches? And then maybe later on, when there's new watch hardware, you tell me about some special thing,
Well, because the Compass is like an ultra only thing, I thought, but I'm not. I don't know. Like, they didn't say that, so I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Compass on my one, I think, but in same kind of compass. Yeah, no, I got a compass, but maybe do all of that functionality. Yeah.
I'm just looking at this real quick. Smart Stack. There's that palette. There's Snoopy, cycling, hiking. With what Compass app on it? Last. It doesn't say only. It just in the marketing material. It only shows the Ultra, but it doesn't.
We may have to wait a day or two.
On all the marketing material, it's only showing. Well, for the cycling and the hiking, it only shows the Ultra. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe that's one of those subliminal things of like you should. If that's what you want.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mental health. Was that the journaling thing, or was that?
Well, they pulled that in with the journaling there, and it's kind of one of those things as someone who does journal but does it, I think I mentioned in our previous discussion, I do it with pen and paper, just because it forces me to slow down. Right, and also because I type all day, right, so it won't feel as special if I'm just typing a journal thing. It's just another
right.
But I think it is interesting, and I always appreciate any of these companies, but especially Apple, anytime they do more, introducing new health-related issues and data and things like that. And so having the mental health one in there, as I'd mentioned before, I'm still waiting for the A1C check, but one day, But anytime they add these things in, I got to do just say thank you, right?
Yes.
Because as we all know, life is complicated these days, and
Yeah.
it may help you. Great, you know.
It is so like you can log your mood essentially, and then they try to look at your mood and associate whether sleep or exercise is has an effect on your anxiety and
Mm.
depression. So that's the point in that. There's a bunch of stuff
Yeah,
about
and I
vision
think that's
health,
that's good.
um, and about getting daylight. Um, I'm just looking at the list on the press
Yeah.
release. Offline maps. Oh, that's only on iPhone. Da, da, da. Custom workouts. We talked about that.
Hmm.
Um, Lastly, I want to go back. SwiftUI. SwiftUI. We got vertical tab views and the toolbar and navigation split view, which originally was for the iPad and the Mac. Now we have that on the watch, which is really cool. I think they
Yeah,
showed some real. I can see the whole vertical scroll thing. Like they definitely push
absolutely.
that, and we're like, this is the new paradigm on the watch.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. No independent watch. That was not. They never talked about that. That was one of the
Yeah.
rumors. So we're not quite there yet.
But I
But
also think that that is still one, and I get it. It's just interest to do that, right? You know, like Will said from
yeah,
day one. You
or
know,
they're just gonna wait until the September event when they reveal the new
yeah,
watch and make
possibly.
it part
Yep.
of the new
Hmm.
watch hardware, and be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you now only in the Series 9 will we support into the so yeah. Even though it's a software thing. So yeah, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised about that.
Yeah. And you know,
All
we
right.
didn't mention it, but we should. The while we were talking about the health app is on the iPad now.
Yes,
You know,
that's
so
right.
for
Which I think
those,
is really cool.
yeah, I do too. So for those, it's like my health dashboard right there. Fantastic.
I know. Did you
Yeah.
know that Ventura was the first first version of Mac OS to support HealthKit?
I did
Um,
not. No,
yeah. So
just feels
technically, the health.
around. You know.
Yeah, no,
Mm.
HealthKit was never on Mac OS. Now it's on
Mm.
so now it's on. It was on Mac OS with Ventura. Now it looks like they're moving that over to the iPad, which is great.
Great. Great. Yeah.
Um. All right. Let's do it.
So
Let's
there was
talk
one other
about.
thing.
let-
Yeah.
Let's talk about the new Newton. Let's talk about the new $3,500 pair of glasses.
Starting at 3,500.
Starting. What does that mean? Starting at like, what would you even
Oh,
like?
there's going
Oh,
to be
I want an
storage
M2. I
options.
want an M2 Pro. Yeah, storage.
Yeah.
Okay. But see,
Yeah.
I think it's more. They did say it's modular. Yeah, they did say it's
Yeah.
modular. So there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, this band is not
So,
comfortable enough. Or oh,
mm,
can I get the glasses in gold? Whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. I see that now. Um.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your just first impressions? Go.
First, no. No, thank you. Um, because it's too creepy looking. If someone walks to me with the headset on like that, with that facial expression coming through the panel, I'm gonna feel like I'm in like an episode of The Walking Dead or something. It's too creepy.
I think you'd get used to it. I think you'd get used to it.
Well,
I agree. It's not for me. I'm not disagreeing. Just
yeah,
being
no,
devil's
right.
advocate. I think.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think
Yeah.
you'd get used to it. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Here's my set, right?
Okay,
Which is
go.
closely linked with the first one. And I think I tweeted this immediately when they showed it, and they showed sort of how your face looks through the thing. I felt I was looking at like either a generation or a next generation of someone that I would expect to find walking around in Blade Runner movies or, Cyberpunk, because it just kind of felt like that. And immediately I felt like, is this the future? Is it really?
So I'm gonna be devil's advocate. I agree. I mean, it's not for me. Well, we'll get into why that is, but I'm gonna be devil's
Sure.
advocate. So the thing with the glasses, I think is a technology limitation that Apple has
Okay.
tried its best to overcome in an Apple way, and I mean that as a compliment.
Oh,
Google
sure.
Glasses
Yeah.
just don't work. They're not that good. Apple says, "Fine, this is a limitation. We're going to allow you to see the eyes through this display." Think of it like the notch. It's a notch.
Yep.
Not even no, not a notch. It's a dynamic island. Okay, it's like we have this issue.
Oh, I see what you
We're
did.
just gonna.
Dynamic island. Well done.
Hey, I didn't mean to do that. Um, but like it is. It's like Apple's like, okay, this doesn't look great. We're gonna work with it instead of against it, and I think that's what they've done here, and I applaud them for that.
Yeah.
I will say the what is it, persona? What is it called? Spatial persona.
Yeah. What is
I wrote it down.
oh,
Spatial
I wrote it down
persona.
here.
I think is going to be, it's better than the Facebook avatar on the Oculus. I'll say that. Spatial, but yeah, it's still kind of creepy. Watch my episode where I
Yeah.
talk to Chat GPT if you want to get an idea of how I think it'll end up looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
and I agree with you. Yeah.
Where I think it is, it's just like, and for me, I don't. So let me get the good stuff out of the way because that's the easiest part.
Yeah.
This is classic Apple taking a totally different take on a device class platform, whatever you want to call it. They don't like BlackBerry. BlackBerry had its thing. BlackBerry was very successful, but the iPhone totally went in a different direction. It didn't have a keyboard on it. Blah 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 blah. It had multi-touch, right? Oculus, whatever, the 500 other VR companies that we've had, they're like, it's all immersive, it's all 3D, it's weird and buggy, and well, I don't know buggy, but just like it's a totally different take. This like they don't have a keyboard, right? They've taken out the BlackBerry keyboard of what the Oculus does and said, no, we're just gonna be like we're just gonna put a UI in a 3D space. That's essentially what they've done. They've taken a totally different angle in it, classic Apple, and I think it looks really, really cool. So you have like Windows, you have your web browser, you have like, it's like we're not like gonna make everything 3D. We're not gonna put you in an NFT forest in the middle of, you know, whatever crap. Like it's like no, you're still in your space, and we have this clever little digital crown, like a volume, where you can say how immersive you want to be in that space. It's very clever. I think it's great. I think it's great from a developer perspective that pretty much every iOS app and I think Mac app maybe can be moved over. I think they make an interesting selling point with, hey, you spend thousands of dollars on a home theater, when you could just buy these glasses for only $3,500. I know, but this is what they said, and I think that that's as good of a point as you can make. They have a lot of that work on tracking your eyes and your motion. The interface looks immersive and intuitive. All the stuff with spatial audio that we've been seeing them do, like it feels like it's been the end result of all this work that they've been doing with ML that we've all kind of known, like tracking your motion and things like that. They even have lenses for folks like us who are blind. Spaces, absent spaces. But having said all that, like I don't want it. Like I don't want to have a pair of glasses on my face all day. Like, and I don't want to put them on, take them off, put them on, take them off. I don't want, like, I'd rather when I watch a movie with someone, I want to watch a movie with someone. I don't want us to help both have a pair of glasses on. I want to be there together for real, not like virtually. That's my spiel. It's like, yeah. Just I don't
Yeah.
I still
So
don't get it.
yeah, let me dive more into my no, because I agree with an awful lot of what you said, and so I want to sort of put my no in context. First of all, let's talk about the heart. It is, like you said, the absolute pinnacle of what Apple's been working towards, with all of its products, all of its research, both engineering research and everything else. There is no question in my mind. This is an absolute shining example of the excellence of what Apple can do at a hardware level, right? Mm-hmm. Absolutely not, no question in my. I absolutely get why tag it's got, because the amount of in that headset, oh my gosh, can't even imagine how you got, how did you get all of that in there, right? So that at a hardware level, yes, this is the shining example of Apple being Apple in the best possible way. Price tag, it's always going to be a price tag, right? I mean, we knew that, it was never going to be a surprise. But I do think you're getting a lot of value for your money. Software, it's difficult to know without actually using it, because they were very careful to show us a lot of imagery. This is kind of what it's going to look like. You haven't actually shown me what it looks like, but I'm going to assume it's going to be at least very close to what you showed me, right? Which is great. The pinching, like your finger. So I guess we'll have impressions once we've got one of these things. I guess that's what we'll be calling it. Do the Apple crab, right? I should trademark that right now. It's going to work great, I think, until you put it in a real world scenario with pets and kids running around in the room in front of you. And then I think it's going to have a hell of a time trying to figure it out. I hope I'm wrong, but I think for me, the key for the no is I just feel this making the absolute perfection answer to a question that was never asked, right? And that's with it, because right up until now, I think would be fair to say VR, AR headsets, whatever, primarily for gaming, right? Because they're perfect for that. $1,000 gaming headset? I don't think so, but I could see other uses, like I was proposing to someone, perfect for me, right? But I still feel this is one of those, like I say, an absolute perfection of an answer to a question that nobody asked, and I kind of feel that's why I'm saying no, is you may be yourself, Apple, one day this will be great. Right now, I'm scratching my head as to, the people that are going to buy this are going to be the people that bought the solid gold Apple watches to say they've got one.
I think, either or app developers.
Yeah, I mean,
or
buy me one. I'll use that darn thing.
Yeah, like I told people, like, if Apple offered a developer kit where I could borrow it for a few months and build an app and return it and get a nice little, what do you call it? Like a little, like a gift card from it. Like, I'd do that. Mm-hmm. I have ideas to do that, but
okay,
like, I'm not, like, it's Gen 1 especially. I would definitely not buy this. Like it's, yeah.
Yeah. But see, that's my other thing.
I want to see it in the Apple Store. I want to see, like, how good is the resolution on this thing? Like, does it really look that good? Like, if I put this on, will it look like I am looking through a piece of glass, or will it look like I'm looking at a video that's, like, kind of okay resolution, but not really? Like, yeah.
To tell that I'm, quote, seeing reality, right?
Right.
Because if I'm not, an awful lot of Nintendo Switches for the same price, right? And have a lot
Right.
more fun with those probably. But I think you touched on something there because I neglected to look at it from the perspective of a developer. Of course, as developers, it's in our best interest to make something for this. Enough people buy one that, early days of the App Store. If you can get yours out early, doesn't matter what it is, you're in,
Yeah.
But what
as an
apps do
Apple
you
Watch
make?
app, as an Apple Watch app developer, I disagree with that statement because we've all
Okay.
been burnt on it. Or ask your average Apple TV app developer, how much
Yeah,
money
that's
they raked in. So
Apple. Yeah.
not every platform is gonna be like. I think for this, I think most of the built-in apps are gonna cover what people need, and then anything else is just gonna be migrated over, like Disney Plus, for instance, or
Yeah.
whatever else they want to showcase. And like at the end of the day, it's just like it's almost an Apple TV replacement than it is
Yeah.
like, because yeah, and I don't understand the whole Mac thing too. Like I'm really curious about that. Like how does it work with the Mac? Because you have like the external monitor and like I don't know. I have a lot of questions because there's a lot of technology that has to work perfectly all the time. And if you're using the iPhone without internet reception or cell reception, or there's this weird quirks like Touch ID after you get your hands wet or anything. Like there's all these little quirks where if something goes wrong, it's just not going to work out to be a great experience. So yeah. I do like
Power, right?
Yeah. Right.
Because you're right.
Pack.
I mean,
I'm surprised they didn't make the battery pack into like a fashion accessory, or like this battery pack also has the capability of doing MagSafe charging, and like I'm surprised they didn't go that route.
Yes.
Or like they didn't even mention the battery pack. So yeah.
No. Because
and how does that get is it charged by USB-C or Lightning? Like I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, that was something else that came to mind, because I can see, as you were describing cases, I'm thinking, okay, if I use it as an external screen and I'm halfway through my day and the battery goes flat, or I'm sitting there watching halfway through a Lord of the Rings movie, if the battery lasts long, and it goes flat. Well, sorry kids, we're going to stop watching the movie now until we charge these things up again. So
can you can the battery be plugged in? Like if you're sitting at the couch and you have,
I'm wondering the same thing.
Like, do they allow that? Like, yeah, there's just a lot of like real
a lot of questions. Yeah.
And it's not, a challenge to Apple is like, how do you explain to people what the experience of this is like in a video, let alone live event?
Yeah.
I need to be at the Apple store to actually look at this thing. So yeah.
Well, okay. So that's the other question, right? I guess I got to go there, not to scare people, but an Apple store and try one, but don't be thinking too much about the hundreds of people that tried the headset before you put it on your face. Just something to think about.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's why I'm saying no. Is I think it's a solution to a problem we don't have at this time.
And the technology is not. Well, we'll see, but the technology might not even be there.
Yeah. I mean, we're basing this on.
We're potentially looking at an Apple Watch Series 0 situation.
Exactly. That is what the comparison I drew was. Yeah, the first Apple Watch seemed great until you sort of tried to use it for a day, and then it's like, why have I got this?
What was the first iPhone you got?
It was the 3G. The 3G version.
So that's like the third. That's the third version.
I think it was the third one.
Okay.
Actually, Wait, I've got it right here. Let's have a look. Hang on.
The reason I'm asking that is like.
Yeah.
I think with the iPhone, it took a few versions before it got popular. Like very few. I don't think a lot of people bought the iPhone. It was iPhone 4.
Yeah.
It was iPhone 4 was my first iPhone.
It's that one.
And
okay,
3G. So So I think with a lot of folks, like this first version is not going to be ready for prime time, quite frankly. And Apple has time to work on this and figure out what the space for this is, like the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying
Until
it's a failure. I'm not saying it's a failure by any means. They have
oh,
plenty
it
of
won't
time.
be. Yeah,
It won't.
it'll
No,
be.
it won't be.
It'll be hugely successful because people just buy Apple products without question, right? Let's
Right.
be honest.
Right.
Break it down. If you think about it, it's only really buying 3 iPhones. Sort of. So I mean, suddenly it doesn't sound so expensive when you think about it that way. But like you said in my notes here, it's not a next year. So
Yep.
who knows what could happen to it between now and then, right?
So I'm gonna go over the API stuff. We got this
Mm-hmm.
idea of windows, volumes, and spaces for putting 3D stuff in. Right out of the box, iOS apps are supported and SwiftUI, and you could do a lot more with ZStack. ZStack is the SwiftUI equivalent of the Z level, I guess, so to speak, of
Yeah,
things. So
and
I'm
that
really
has
curious
bitten
about
me.
that.
Yeah, that has bitten me a few times with
Yeah.
ZStack. So I'm glad that they got a tweak. Yeah.
Do you do anything with Unity?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
This was
you
the
wanna
other
talk
thing
about
I
that?
absolutely wanted to mention. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do. For those who keep up stuff, I have a Unity game that I've been working on for a long time. It's out there in beta. But yes, I do stuff with Unity, and it was last year iDev 360. There was a video, I forget the gentleman's name, about using Unity with Swift, which was like great because all I ever want to do is have Swift in Unity, and I'm happy. So I was really happy to see that Apple continues to embrace Unity. I will say, yeah, I'm sure some of it's to get at Epic and the Unreal Engine, of course, right?
You think so? You think so?
Yeah, it's got to be. It's Apple,
What's the,
you know.
What's the, no, I'm kidding. What's the market?
Okay.
What's the market share between Unity and Unreal? Do you know?
I based on my folks that I know and that Unity are popular with the indie devs, right?
Okay.
Even though it's not technically not totally free like Unreal Engine is until you get over whatever it is, $1 million.
Okay.
But it's a lot more. It's easier to get into,
Unity
So
is- okay.
the fact that they essentially said, let me check my note here, that Unity sits on top of the reality, the reality kit. Unity can sit on top is a massive deal for Unity, right? That is essentially the official seal of endorsement from Apple saying use Unity.
Yeah.
Great. That makes me nothing but happy.
Okay.
So,
Are you going to be doing any tutorials on this stuff in Unity?
I think I'm going to have to at this point, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm actually learning Unreal Engine because I just want to. I'm still
yeah.
building, with Unity, and clearly I have every good reason now to embrace because the in Unity is really good. Now there's a reason to go back and look at,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Asim had a really good talk, and he was on the show talking about Reality Composer. I played around.
Oh,
with it.
yeah?
It's a really easy to use.
Great.
And I did. What was it? Not 3D Studio Max. I did it like 20 years ago.
Yeah, me too.
So I know a little bit about 3D stuff, but not a lot. But I'm really curious about this stuff here, and
Yeah. And I was
there's a
just
lot of
relearning.
There's a lot of amazing stuff you can do in Reality Kit that you're like, oh, I got nope, it does it all for you, like typical Apple. So like anchoring things to walls and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not as intimidating as you think it is. So definitely take a look at that.
So combine Unity and I was going to say I've recently started learning Blender because I was a 3D Studio Max guy, and I was like, why have I learned Blender? And I've sort of done a couple of basic things, but again, all of this, is like, 3D models in any kind of VR or AR. Even with my phone, I had in some ideas. I wanted to make some AR stuff.
Right.
Like I should learn Blender again. So that plus sitting on top of Reality Kit and that, I'm all for it.
Do you say you have a Nintendo Switch?
I do.
If,
And there's
I
no
don't.
reason in the world that I've not thought about publishing my game to it. I should. Yeah.
I don't want to make this too much of an episode, but have you
No,
played
I
Tears
get
of the
it.
Kingdom?
No, you like
Okay.
it?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
We're gonna geek about it. I'll be geeking about it in a future episode when Adrian is on.
Fantastic.
But,
Yeah.
did you like Breath of the Wild?
Did I sound excited?
Then you
Yeah,
love Tears
that's
of the
what
Kingdom.
I've not found
So, yeah.
anyone yet that's gone like, oh no, that sucks. So yeah,
okay.
that's why I haven't got it. Because if I get it, that's no more streams from me except
Yeah.
that.
No,
So that's
there'll be
why
streams.
I'm
It'll just be
waiting.
streams of you playing the game.
Exactly. Yeah, not making my people tell me like you should be making your
Um,
game. Yeah.
What do you think? Okay, I want to. Was there anything else you want to talk about? I think
No,
wanna ask one more
I
question.
think
I want to.
the major,
What do you think of the 2D on 3D like interface? Like, to me, like I think that's a really interesting take on VR, AR, whatever.
Yeah.
Not surprising in some ways, but I think it's it's golf clap Apple, like Dynamic Island. This, like, I think it's a very good, interesting take on UI, and that's why Apple is Apple. So I like that. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
And
I also
Yeah.
I think it's very comfortable for people, right? We're used to
Right.
a 2D interaction with our machines.
We're-
And so to put you in 3D with that
yeah,
keeps me a
We've
thing to
always-
adapt to.
human beings are like evolution, whatever. We do 2D much easier. Period. We've always done 2D. It like so like we have whiteboards, we have paper, we have like the idea that like 3D is like a great way to do stuff all the time is not necessarily true. And
Yeah.
so I think like Apple sees that and is like, okay, yeah, like it makes sense to have a web browser be flat on a screen and you scroll up with your finger and like stuff like
Yep.
that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they kind of have 3D stuff in iOS, kind of like 3D effects, but they've kind of like made that a little bit more actual 3D because we have two eyeballs instead of just a flat screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see their evolution on that.
No, I agree, and I think especially with the Vision Pro, and that is you can do 2D anywhere, right? There's nothing
Right.
distracting about it. It doesn't. I'm seeing a 3D environment in the background. My brain just automatically filters that out to the 2D.
Yeah.
So I think that choosing to do it the way they're doing it is brilliant. I can't think of a better way to onboard someone than to take the familiar and put it in the unfamiliar and say, worry about it. I think
Next
it's brilliant.
Next year, so leg kit. We're gonna get leg kit where we can put legs on spatial personas.
That's it.
Hear me out?
That's what we
my
need.
Prediction.
There
And
you go.
SwiftUI charts with like 3D topographic curves or something. So
Wouldn't that be? Yeah.
that would be really
Yeah.
cool.
And
Come up
let's
with that
all
Swift package.
yeah.
Come on,
let's
someone.
let's. What they want us to do is they want all of us to forget last year or the year before that really it was on stage, so it was a couple of years ago, that really awkward demonstration with the 3D with the spacecraft coming over the table. They want us to all just forget that 3D AR that never happened, right?
They've done, say what you will about the pandemic. Apple's been a lot better at doing game demos. So
Oh my
it's been
gosh.
an
Yeah.
improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peter, is there anything else? I got a busy
No,
week ahead of me, bookmarking stuff and watching
Yeah.
videos tomorrow.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's and until we get to go through our sessions now, I think that's one of those like, whew, we survived day one.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a big one.
yeah,
Like we said in
yeah.
that episode 2 episodes ago, take your time, guys and gals.
Hmm.
Um, you know, be picky about what
Yeah,
you're going to watch. These videos are going to be out there for a while.
yeah.
Are you going to be streaming any of this stuff?
I think I will. I think what I'm
Yeah.
going to do is do like you did, download Xcode, uh, make sure I can run it, and then if I can run it, stuff is available. And I'll probably live stream playing around with some of that stuff. Some of my fellow live streamers that we have on our Discord, no doubt they will because they are just amazing folks. So I'm confident that if anyone's interested, go out there looking, you're going to find a ton of people playing with this stuff.
Yeah.
And as we
There's
always say,
already video tutorials posted on Swift
oh
Data.
sure, yeah,
Yeah, I'm not that quick.
Well-
Sorry, folks.
yeah, me too. I was like, no, I'm just barely catching up on my notes. Worst case, go out there and totally destroy our machines by all these things so you don't have to.
And not following your advice on backing up. So
Yeah, oh yeah, don't bother with that. Don't listen to that guy. Yeah.
so people can follow Peter on his YouTube channel. What's the name? Is it Compile Swift
Yeah.
or Peter?
No, it's YouTube/Peter Witham. And then Compile Swift for everything else.
Yep. And then I'm here on YouTube at Bright Digit. So if you are listening to this, go to youtube.com/@brightdigit to catch any stuff I'm be posting this week. I have a ton of recordings next week. We'll be talking with Pedro Pinera at Tuist. We're going to be talking about build tools. Hide, the great designer Hide Vanderplug is going to be on. We're going to talk about
Nice.
watchOS 10. Adrian Eves is going to come on, and we'll probably talk about how to implement Ultra Hand with Vision. This is Aldo for sorry. We'll see. We'll talk about something about this
Fantastic.
year. And maybe might get some surprise guests on to talk about Reality Kit, AR Kit, Vision, something like that this summer. So I have a busy summer ahead of me. So
Awesome.
Thank you, Peter, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure always, Leo. You and I, we could sit here for days talking about this stuff. So, again, thank you for having me come back yet again. Thank you.
Fun, Peter Witham at YouTube and Compile Swift at Twitter. People can, if you watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Share this with folks. I'll be, and then if you're listening to this on Podcast Player, please give me a good review and share it with others as well. I look forward to talking to you. Hopefully, I'll have another episode out next week. We'll see. Everybody, enjoy your day. Take it easy. Enjoy WWDC week. Talk to you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.